How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Please give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys have not already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, hit the bell notification button and select all for all notifications. That way you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on the channel. You guys can also find me on Discord at 6957 The Texas Man. And as always, we're going to talk positives and negatives. We're going to be talking about a show that came out recently, within the past couple of years. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch it because it was locked behind Netflix, and I just had a friend allowing me to be able to watch Netflix, so I'm able to finally start branching out besides just covering movies and shows, whether that's from the theaters or on Disney Plus or from Amazon Prime. So I'm able to review some stuff on Netflix now for you guys. So I will be reviewing some more stuff from Netflix here on the channel within the next several months and continuing on as long as I have access to Netflix. Or if you're like me and I'm really old school and I just love my physical media, I was able to get the entire show of the Netflix series Lemonade Tickets, a series of unfortunate events. I was able to get the whole show on Blu-ray. Depending on where you live, depending on your region, you'll be able to acquire this as well, whether that's on DVD or Blu-ray. I don't think you can get this on 4K. You might be able to in the future, depending on when you watch this video. But it is early 2023 at the time we're recording this video, so who knows? You're going to have to get it from, of course, a third-party company, so make sure you keep track of that. And on average, it's going to run you about $40 for the whole show, which to me isn't a big problem. I mean, you're getting literally 13 books worth of content in a show. It is, to me, it's worth it. I'm like, you would spend $20 on just one Harry Potter movie, which is based on one book. You're spending $40 for 13 books into a show. So I think, to me, the price is worth it. So anyway, moving on. So this is going to be the complete series, all 3 seasons. And we're just going to dive into positives and negatives. So first of all, Neil Patrick Harris plays Count Olaf, and he does a great job. I was kind of scared at his acting capability as the Count Olaf character. He does a great job. He does a really great job. What they do with Count Olaf, however, is they turn him into a cartoon villain in this show. And I'm going to be diving into that a lot within this review. Everything in this show is cartoony. Like, if you guys remember me talking about the movie from 2004, which I've reviewed, I said that one of the biggest things that I loved about it was that it was dark, it was edgy, and it kept with that source material vibe of depression and, you know, there's really no good light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to a series of unfortunate events, whether that's the books or the movies, especially until, like, the end, kind of. No pun intended. But this show just goes into cartoon territory from the very first episode. Like, the moment you meet Count Olaf, it's not dark and edgy and not gloom and glim. It's a musical number. What? I'm just like, I get this is Netflix, but you didn't need to turn a depressing, unfortunate circumstance into a musical number. It's a conflict of tones, and I don't understand why they thought that was good. Like obviously they read the books to make this a whole show because it's based on all 13 books. But why did they need to dumb it down to make this show somehow accessible to a 5-year-old? Like, I didn't start reading a series of unfortunate events until I was in middle school. And even then, I was like, okay, this is really dark and depressing. And I'm having to read this as part of, like, you know, school projects? I'm just, okay. I guess this is what society has turned into. And then it gets really darker when you get to the hostile hospital and the carnivorous carnival and the Grim Grotto. And I'm just like, we went from a bad beginning in Reptile Road to being a little creepy to just full out bonkers. And this show doesn't embody that. This show doesn't go from balance 50-50 and then go slightly 60-40 to creepy territory and then 7-30 and then 80-20. It's just 90-10, and the 90 is not the creepy, depressing side of the show. It is the let's have a dance party while people are being murdered next door. And I'm just like, I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to make this show cartoony, childish, and fun. I just don't get it. Now, let's move on to a positive thing. The show does give us 2 episodes. Each episode is almost an hour long. And this is something that I was really excited about, is that it allows more of the source material from the books to be put to screen. Except for the last book called The End. It only gets 1 episode. And I kind of feel like that should have gotten 2, maybe even 3. Because it feels rushed. It really feels rushed compared to the fact that every single other book has gotten 2 episodes. When the final book only gets 1, it's like, did they run out of budget? Did they run out of time to be able to use the actors for the final episode? Did they not have the money to pay them to do another episode? Something feels weird. Something felt off. But I am happy that instead of us just getting the first 3 books crammed into a 90-minute movie, we get all 13 books. We get all 13 books, and except for the final book, every single book gets 2 episodes, which means they get about 2 hours of screen time, which is great. It's like, let's put, Prisoner of Azkaban on screen for 2 hours, and it works. It works. And I think it works well, allowing the source material to come to fruition, to come from the books to the screen. However, there are numerous changes throughout the show, and I'm not going to list everyone because then this video would be literally an hour long, and I don't want to make an hour-long video for you guys. But there are several differences from the books to the show, including the mysterious taxi driver being revealed to the children, to the Baudelaire children, to be Lemony Snicket, is done in the show. But in the books, we never are told 100% who the mysterious taxi driver is. We get, clues, and everyone has their theories, but in the books we're never told. We're never told that it's actually the author that's the taxi driver. Nor do the children figure out who he is. He doesn't come out and say, "My name's Lemony Snicket. Nice to meet you. Tell me, what's happened in the past 8 years of your traumatic life?" and that's not in the books. They do that in the show, however, for dramatic effect, and it makes a lot more logical sense based on everything else that they have done before and after that meeting. In the show, we have the hooked man, the man with the hooks for hands. The show ends up explaining how he gets his hands, the hooked hands. Never told in the books. Never. It is a complete utter mystery. And to me, I never cared. I didn't ever want to know when I was reading the books. I didn't care. I'm just like, okay, he has hooks for hands. Ta-da! Whatever. Olaf's helpers, his crew, his gang, whatever you want to call them, his helpers, they remain alive, or they stay with him a lot longer than the books. Like, I know for a fact that one of them is supposed to die in the hostile hospital fire towards the end of the book. One of them is supposed to die in that. Another one's supposed to be eaten in the carnivorous carnival. So the fact that they're still alive and kicking, literally, after those books within the show, it's just like, okay, what? You didn't want to give the show a PG-13 or an R rating? Like, it's supposed to be dark and gruesome. But it's a Netflix show, so they probably had to tone it down for reasons. And another thing is like Olaf's mentors, we get a lot more time with them in the show. Like we get a lot more backstory. They get a lot more time to spend with Olaf and the other characters. And I enjoyed that, but within the books, there's not a lot we learn. They're very bare bones, basic, one note characters and villains that just are added in because, basically Lemony Snicket had killed off characters prior to their arrival. So it's like, okay, I need to come up with some new characters to make sure that I keep the story going and there's enough characters and interest until I get to the finale. So, yeah. Also, characters at times being translated from the books to the show, and it makes no sense to me, but if you're like me and you've read the books, all 13 books, and then you watch this show, there's a couple big problems. Big problems. And these problems arise for no good reason. I don't know why they did these things, but it doesn't add any value, and if anything, it pisses me off, because I'm like, okay, you read the books. Why did they decide to change certain characters' races and genders and age to fit the current narrative of the year? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like the Guardian from, and I'm drawing a mental blank, I just woke up. The Guardian in Reptile Room, he is supposed to be a slightly older white man, and he's supposed to be wise, and he's supposed to be knowledgeable, and he's not supposed to be this weird... I'm not being racist, but I'm sorry. Black, Indian, whatever, Willy Wonka character that this show gives us for Reptile Room. I don't understand what they did to that Guardian. And then in The Wide Window, for example, they allow her to be redeemed at the end, and I'm just like, what? There's just so many different character changes from the books to the show, and I just don't like them. I don't like them, and they're off-putting, even to people like my mom never read the books, and she's like, this just doesn't seem in character with what a normal person would do. And I'm like, well, it's because they wouldn't, and that's also not in the books. So there you go. The pacing is great. I'm going to get into a positive now. I know I'm flipping back and forth, but bear with me. The pacing is great, and I think allowing characters to have a lot more time for dialogue and conversations allows for the twists and turns and revelations that happen to have a lot more impact. Now, I said earlier that this show also has way too much humor. There is way too much humor within this show, and it's not as dark and it's not as unfortunate as the books are. I said this earlier. Neil Patrick Harris, his acting as Count Olaf is great. But when Olaf as a character does stupid stuff, which is constant, I hate the Count Olaf character in this show. Because, he breaks the fourth wall, like he's Deadpool for some reason. Olaf is also an idiot. He is openly admitting that he wants the children. He wants their fortune. He constantly is admitting that he's just flat out evil. And it also, in turn, makes the police and everyone else that's around him that's a civilian and the banker character, oh God, makes them all look like idiots because he's flat out just saying to their face, I'm evil and I just want the children for their fortune. Like, why doesn't anyone have a red flag going up being like, hello, we probably should imprison this guy or do a search background as to why he's so... But nobody does anything. And speaking of the banker character within this show, the banker character, and I know I don't remember his name because I really don't care. he is just the most irritating character within this show. He is so exhausting and just irritating. I want to take a baseball and throw it at his head. Like the actor does fine. The actor does whatever with the source material, but his dialogue and his attitude and his blindness to what's staring him in the face constantly. When this character, the banker character, is on screen, I'm just like, go away! I hate him. Somehow they made the banker character from the books and even the movie worse than the show. I don't know how they managed that, but they did, and it drives me insane. That's the mic. He's supposed to be oblivious to what's in front of him, but he's not supposed to be an irritating, dumb ass. He's not supposed to be some person that's just completely stupid, and he is stupid, and he is that way for the entire show. He starts off as an idiot banker, and he ends as an idiot banker. He has no character development. He has no character arc. He is the exact same person for the whole 3 seasons. Really? Why? You couldn't have given him anything, and he doesn't do anything. It just shows up and takes the kids from one bad thing to another. And I know that's what he's supposed to do in the books, but like, give him something a little more interesting to do if you're going to make him so stupid. The children actors, they're fine, but they don't do anything special in their roles. At least the children characters, they get a little more fleshed out, but they don't do a whole lot. And I'm just like you couldn't have made these children that we're supposed to care about any less boring if you tried. So, in conclusion, the books are still the best. If you haven't read them, I encourage you to do so. I would highly encourage you to read the books before you watch the show. Now, I said this in my movie review that, like, if you haven't read the books, you can watch the movie version from 2004, and you're not going to, like, be, like, lost at all. The movie is just a movie. But in order for you to enjoy the show, I would highly encourage you to read the books first, because otherwise the show will just be confusing, especially towards season 2 and season 3 when things start getting revealed and all these bizarre things start happening. If you haven't read the books, they're going to be really confusing to you as just a general audience member. So, while the show is great with a 7 out of 10, and the film with a 6 out of 10, I think the books are still the best, and the show and the film is worth watching at least once. So the show is getting a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to end this video because I know I've ranted on for far too long, and my stomach's making noises, and it needs breakfast now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you guys all in the next video of the stream. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with me in the comment section down below. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.